Chapter 41. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As the night fell, the palace was still busy. The 6 ministries had been working overtime these days. Whether it was arranging the affairs of the ceremony according to the dynasty etiquette or all the arrangements in the palace, they had to start from the 6 ministries. On the other hand, the Tianxiang palace was exceptionally peaceful. After dinner, Qinglian suddenly noticed something. Xiaobing, you leave first. The latter paused, thinking that the two were going to do something secretly. Even Chu Ning thought so. Looking at the girl's back as she left, Chu Ning raised his head and smiled. Qinglian, now you have taken the initiative to send Xiaobing away, so where do we start? Qinglian glared at Chu Ning with disdain, ignored him, and slowly stood up and pushed open the palace door. It's fine in the room, Qinglian. It's not good outside. If Xiaobing sees you, you'll run away again. Shut up. What have you been thinking about all day? Qinglian cursed angrily, then her face gradually calmed down and she responded lightly. It's Elder Fong who sent a message. I have something to report. You just stay in the palace. What are you talking about? It's as if I'm having an affair with you. We're doing it openly and legitimately. Seeing Chu Ning shamelessly approaching her, Qinglian sighed helplessly. Forget it. It won't be long before it's really legitimate. I'm afraid Chu Ning will be even bolder by then. He was so bold to kiss her today. If there's nothing else next time, it's absolutely impossible for him to be alone with Chu Ning. At least with Xiaobing, Chu Ning won't be so bold. Elder Fong. The next moment, Fong Horan came through the air and bowed to greet him. Your Majesty. After the old man saluted, he stood up and spoke slowly. Your Majesty, today I saw a group of people outside the palace. They seem to be from the Imperial Observatory of the Great Zhou Dynasty. I guess they might be here to investigate some matters in the palace. Although I don't know why these people were easily captured, and there was even a void-breaking cultivator among them, but after checking, I found that this person was the heavenly master of the Imperial Observatory of the Great Zhou Dynasty. Hearing this, Qinglian frowned slightly. The Imperial Observatory of the Great Zhou Dynasty? These people came here only to investigate the source of the dragon energy of the dynasty. It seems that the Great Zhou Dynasty has begun to fear us. Her expression gradually became serious. How were they dealt with? No one found me, and they were all killed. Qinglian nodded, without objection. This group of people obviously have bad intentions, so it's easier to kill them. If we kill the Heavenly Master, the Imperial Observatory of the Great Zhou will be completely abandoned. Even if the Great Zhou comes to attack, the worst that can happen is that we won't admit it. They won't be so shameless as to bring up the people who secretly arranged things. We can only swallow this loss. But the people in the Imperial Observatory are all strong. Although Fong Horan is powerful, he is only a virtual breaking cultivation, and the other party also has virtual breaking cultivation. Can they solve all of them without alarming Qinglian? Qinglian looked at the old man in confusion and asked, Old Fong, have you broken through the realm and are now at the Wuji level? The old man shook his head. It's not because of me. The strongest cultivator with the level of positive void has lost all consciousness for some reason. His consciousness seems to have been crushed. And the others, who participated in the formation, are all like this. I don't know why. Maybe it's because they peeped into the secrets of the dynasty and were attacked. Qinglian hesitated for a moment and shook his head. Even if the attack is so strong, even the cultivators at the level of positive void have their consciousness crushed. There are many doubts about this matter. I'd better trouble you, Mr. Fong, to investigate it secretly. Now that the Imperial Observatory of the Great Zhou Dynasty has sent people here, it means that they must have a backup plan. Before my wedding, I'll trouble you, Mr. Fong. The old man bowed and said with a serious face, Your Majesty, don't worry. If there is any trouble, I will definitely deal with it. But after he finished speaking, Fong Horan saw Chu Ning beside Qinglian and couldn't help but pull the corner of his mouth. Chu Ning, you are not the emperor yet. This is the palace of His Majesty. I advise you to leave. That's right, this is why Yi Qinglian didn't want Chu Ning to come out with her. Fong Lao is an elder, so he must have said something. However, Chu Ning just spread his hands. I am willing to do so. Besides, His Majesty has already acknowledged my status as the emperor in front of all the officials. It's just a matter of a wedding ceremony. Even without the wedding ceremony, I am still the emperor. I can be wherever I want. What's wrong with that? The old man's mouth twitched, and he was about to curse, but at this moment, Yi Qinglian also spoke calmly. Don't worry, Mr. Fong. Chu Ning came to my palace for the wedding, not for anything else. Hearing this, the old man was relieved. This kid really deserves a beating. He still glared at Chu Ning fiercely. Boy, behave yourself in front of His Majesty. If it weren't for His Majesty, I wouldn't recognize you as the emperor. You ran to His Majesty's palace before the wedding, then after the wedding, wouldn't you want to usurp the throne and plot against the country? Fong Horan looked at Yi Qinglian again, bowed, and said seriously, I think His Majesty should keep an eye on Chu Ning. This person's identity is too secretive, and maybe he has some plans. After that, the old man didn't stay any longer and turned to leave. Chu Ning was so angry that he took Yi Qinglian's hand and started complaining. Qinglian, he slandered me. Why would I usurp the throne? If I get you, I will get the whole world. Why would I waste my energy? Yi Qinglian glanced at Chu Ning and snorted coldly. It would be better if you stayed in the palace just now. Why did you insist on coming out with me? When Mr. Fong saw you here, it was impossible for him not to misunderstand. It was purely unnecessary. Chu Ning smiled and immediately took her hand. That's not what I said. I am still your husband even if the King of Heaven comes. So what's wrong with me coming to your bedroom? Even if I sleep in your bed, no one can stop me, right? After saying that, he pulled Yi Qinglian into the palace. While Xiao Bing is not here, let's hurry up. Yi Qinglian did not move at all, staring at Chu Ning and threatening coldly. I'm tired, hurry back to your palace, don't let me draw my sword. You. Oh, such a good opportunity, at least give me a kiss before leaving, at least strengthen our relationship, oh. Don't draw your sword, I'm leaving. Chu Ning turned around and left with a bitter face. Yi Qinglian's mouth corners slightly raised, and she turned around and walked in with a good mood. It's enough to be secretly taken advantage of by you once, and you really want to treat it as a normal thing. It's really wishful thinking, but it's still interesting to have such a person around. On the way back to the palace, Chu Ning ran into Xiao Bing. The latter asked with excitement if there was any progress. Chu Ning said that the progress was rapid and he would move there tomorrow. Xiao Bing came to the outside of Yi Qinglian's palace to ask excitedly, and then was scolded. The master lied to her, and she was actually deceived. Your Majesty didn't mean that at all, it was all the master's foolish dream. After returning to the palace, Chu Ning lay on the recliner in the yard, his face gradually calmed down. The Great Zhou Dynasty. A backhand? Let me see where you are. The sky moved in an instant and began to reverse the deduction, from the few people who were backfired. Continue forward. Finally, Chu Ning locked a location, which was in an inn. An old eunuch in a red robe, sitting on a wooden chair in the room, trembling all over, was already furious. Bullshit. How could all the people in the Imperial Observatory die, and none of them came back? You don't even know who killed them, a bunch of trash, and you have to do it yourself. Chapter 42. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The people of the Imperial Observatory died, none of them came back. He didn't even know who the opponent was. In the current Daqian Dynasty, the level of the middle stage of the void-breaking realm would be equal to the treatment of the national master. Who could kill so many people without making a sound? And it seemed that they had been dealt with long ago, but the news was not reported until now. Wang Jingzhong's face was extremely stiff. As expected, there must be someone with extremely powerful strength in the Daqian Dynasty. To be able to kill the void-breaking realm cultivator so easily, he must be an 8th realm Wuji, but how could it be possible for a mere Daqian Dynasty? The old eunuch now has no way out. Coming to the Daqian Dynasty, he must cut off its dragon veins and not let anything affect the Great Zhou Dynasty's unification of the world. If it is really the Wuji level, he is absolutely sure to kill it in the early stage of Wuji. If it is the middle stage, he is sure to seriously injure it, but he cannot kill it. If it is the late stage, he is sure to leave. Wang Jingzhong narrowed his eyes slightly and stood up slowly. Send someone to report to His Majesty. If I die in the Daqian Dynasty today, I will immediately seek peace with the Daqian Dynasty and form an alliance. If I am not dead. The other cultivators nodded immediately, knowing the result. If this eunuch is dead, it means that the Daqian Dynasty must have a strong man above the Wuji level, so they can only form an alliance. If he is not dead, it means that the dragon vein of the Daqian Dynasty has been cut off, and this trip to the Daqian Dynasty is extremely smooth. The man is innocent, but he is guilty of possessing a treasure. Now that you have discovered that these people are from my imperial observatory, don't blame me for being cruel. Inside the palace, Chu Ning overlooked the entire imperial city and smiled at the figures that kept coming. In the palace, there were also countless cultivators on guard, but these cultivators didn't seem to be the opponent of the old guy. People from the great Zhou dynasty. Chu Ning smiled and stood up slowly. I'm getting married soon, and my wife will be my real wife soon. Someone is planning to attack my wife at this time. What can I do? I can't do anything. A heavy rain fell without warning, and the thunder covered too many sounds. On the waterlogged ground, there was a footprint every few dozen steps, but the figure of the man was not seen at all. He was very fast and soon locked the location of Qinglian in the Tianxiang palace. No matter what the dragon energy was caused by, but it will definitely involve this emperor. The imperial city of the Daqian dynasty can't stop people of his level. Red walls and golden tiles, the thunder light is shrill, and it illuminates the whole world from time to time. The end of the road is the destination of Wang Jingzhong's trip. However, at the moment when the thunder was mixed and the light and shadow were confused, a figure appeared in front of the old eunuch without any warning. Boom! Wang Jingzhong had a blank expression on his face. On his red robe, there were tens of millions of red threads floating all over the world. He stared at the man in the golden dragon robe in front of him, as if he had guessed his identity. Are you the new emperor of Daqian? Chu Ning grinned. Congratulations, you got it right, no reward. But why didn't you come to the palace to visit in the middle of the night? The old eunuch sneered. Then there's no need to guess. The dragon energy of the Daqian dynasty all started because of you, so don't blame me for my vicious methods. As soon as the voice fell, countless threads suddenly rushed towards Chu Ning, not just Ming Qian, even the space around Chu Ning was broken, and thousands of threads surged out, instantly wrapping Chu Ning up. The way of heaven is infinite, and the old eunuch's method is to use the power of heaven and space. Even if they are at the same level of infinite, it's hard to say who will win. Who do you think you are? Since you guessed that I was waiting here in advance, is this all your strength? He grinned and instantly blew up the space, accompanied by thunder, which was covered by the rumbling thunder. Just as Wang Jingzhong was about to move on, a hand suddenly rested on his shoulder. We have no grudges. The level of the great Zhou dynasty and the great Qian dynasty are not of the same order of magnitude. It seems unnecessary for you to target us. Even if my great Qian is in full swing, why can't we be allies? Do you have to fight and kill? Is it interesting? The old man was stunned. How did this person leave? Without the slightest hesitation, countless silk threads burst out from his body again. That blow went straight through Chu Ning's body. He was definitely dead, and it hit his head. But just as Wang Jingzhong came back to his senses, another hand rested on his shoulder. He was immediately disheartened. At this moment, Wang Jingzhong realized that perhaps he had been targeted since the Imperial Observatory began to investigate the dragon energy in the palace. This person is not Paksu, nor Wuji. It is Tianxiang. The most powerful cultivator between heaven and earth, Tianxiang realm. This is simply a game of cat and mouse, and the other party is just playing with him. How can the Daqian dynasty be qualified to let Tianxiang cultivators sit in charge? Do you think what I said makes sense? At this moment, he was desperate and had no intention of resisting at all. Perhaps from the moment he stepped into the palace, he was destined to die. Wang Jingzhong's mind was trembling, and he said tremblingly, If I beg for mercy now, will there be a way to survive? Chu Ning smiled and looked at the red-robed eunuch. No. Then, why do you still say these words? Because this is the line I should say. If I don't say it, how can you think I'm easy to bully? Chu Ning smiled and stretched out his hand to take off Wang Jingzhong's head. Just like that, his expression was frozen in astonishment and unspeakable fear, and the body instantly sprayed blood. The golden dragon robe was stained with blood. Chu Ning frowned slightly. It's so shameless to die. At least you blew up your soul palace and died with me. You actually thought about begging for mercy. Chu Ning raised his hand to shatter Wang Jingzhong's body and the blood, which turned into spiritual energy that dissipated in the whole world, and the head was held in his hand. Unifying the 5 dynasties is not a problem, but the problem is that if it is unified, my wife will have nothing to work hard for. If I concentrate on practicing instead of handling government affairs, how can I have the opportunity to chat with my wife and cultivate feelings? Moreover, Chu Ning's idea is to make the Daqian Dynasty develop in an orderly manner and gradually expand into the most powerful force. At the same time, he can also gain some achievement points, which is similar to playing a cultivation game. Watching the forces he cultivated become more and more powerful, he didn't want to disturb them, but the great Zhou dynasty did something unkind. Then he could only go to their palace. Just like Wang Jingzhong came here today, he took a step forward, crushed the void, and went straight to a more majestic and magnificent palace. Just standing outside the hall, several cultivators who noticed it were instantly crushed to dust, and Chu Ning walked into the bedroom of Yingdang so swaggeringly. Chapter 43. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the dragon bed, Yingdang suddenly woke up. Cold sweat broke out on his back, and he gasped heavily. The queen beside him was also awakened by this strange behavior and looked at Yingdang in confusion. Your Majesty, what is wrong with you? Yingdang shook his head violently. I just had a dream that eunuch Wang was beheaded, and that person took it and walked to trouble me. The woman smiled and hugged Yingdang to comfort him. Your Majesty, you are overthinking it again. Eunuch Wang is the top cultivator of the great Zhou dynasty. It is no problem for him to destroy the entire great Qian dynasty by himself. How could he be beheaded? Your Majesty, you are still overthinking it. It's just a small country in a tiny place. It doesn't count. Your Majesty is the monarch who wants to unify the world. The middle-aged man who heard this gradually calmed down and was constantly comforting himself. Maybe that eunuch Wang has left me, and I just feel uncomfortable. It won't be long before eunuch Wang will send back good news. Just the next second, it seemed that some sticky liquid dripped on his face. Yingdang looked up in confusion and suddenly saw a head hanging in front of him. It was Wang Jingzhong, whom he had been thinking about, whose head was taken off and hung on his dragon bed. Ah! The next moment, Yingdang woke up suddenly again. Where is the head? He looked around like crazy, slapped his face hard, and looked for Wang Jingzhong's head with a frightened look, but he didn't find it. But how could Yingdang's heart calm down? He was still looking for it, but there was no trace. Beside him, there was only the sleeping concubine. Looking at the figure, Yingdang tentatively stretched out his hand and shook it. My beloved concubine, can you hear me? I seem to have had a dream. But the concubine did not move at all. Yingdang felt strange and reached out to turn over the woman's body, but he was immediately frightened and turned pale. The frightened face was in front of him, and the neck was taken off and placed on the head of his concubine. Ah! The shrill cry spread throughout the palace. He kicked the woman away, but the head was suspended. Your Majesty! Your Majesty, aren't you looking for us? The sticky blood dripped on his body. Yingdang retreated like crazy, and his state of mind was extremely frightened until the head with a clear facial expression suddenly hit him. He woke up again. This time, Yingdang looked at everything around him with empty eyes. The world was silent, and no sound came. Beside him was the sleeping concubine, and there was no head placed next to him. Dong dong dong. There was a rapid knock on the door. Yingdang suddenly sat up in shock. Your Majesty, eunuch Wang sent someone to deliver a message. Only when he heard that it was his confidant did Yingdang breathe a sigh of relief. It was not a dream this time. he hurriedly got up, without even having time to put on his dragon robe, and suddenly pushed open the palace door. It was no longer Wang Jingzhong's head, but only his guards. Seeing Ying Dang in such a panic, the guards were also confused. "Your Majesty, what's wrong with you?" Ying Dang said angrily. "What did Eunuch Wang tell you? Read it quickly." "Yes." Eunuch Wang said that all the people in the Imperial Observatory were killed. "It seems that there is a master in the Daqian Dynasty, which is probably Wuji." Eunuch Wang also said that if he didn't come back alive, he hoped that your Majesty would immediately form an alliance with the Daqian Dynasty to prevent future troubles. So that's how it is." Ying Dang breathed a sigh of relief, took the letter and checked it several times, and then he felt relieved. "Don't leave, just guard outside my palace." Really frightened by the dream, Ying Dang was uneasy for a while. "No, find some more monks to guard my door." The guard didn't dare to say more, just did it. After doing all this, Ying Dang breathed a sigh of relief. Too weird, this dream is really too weird. He looked at the dark night outside the palace, a little worried. Could it be that something really happened to Eunuch Wang? How could such a person appear in the Daqian Dynasty? To kill Eunuch Wang, one must be at least in the 8th level of Wuji. There is no way such a cultivator would appear in that dynasty. Eunuch Wang only broke through after receiving guidance from the Liang Holy Land. How could he die so easily? Ying Dang comforted himself and smiled. "I worry too much. How could this be possible in this world?" But the next moment, he suddenly froze in his place. On the table not far away, there was an old man's head lying on the ground, and that old man was exactly the same as the one he saw in his dream, with the same frightened face, the same panic, and the same look as if he had been taken off his body. He was stunned for a moment and hurriedly pushed open the door of the palace. "Come and show me. Is that man Wang Jingzhong?" That the guards were pulled in with a bewildered look on their faces, but they were stunned on the spot. On the table was Wang Jingzhong's head. It was definitely him. But wasn't he in the Daqian Dynasty? Eunuch Wang is dead. Ying Dang's heart fell to the bottom of the valley in an instant. Not only did Wang Jingzhong die, he was also sent to his bedroom. This means that the man not only killed Wang Jingzhong at will, but could even come and go freely in his palace. The emperor with the strongest foundation among the 5 dynasties suddenly knelt down. "My great Zhou dynasty is willing to establish diplomatic relations and alliance with the Daqian dynasty with great ceremony. Yes. There is also the wedding of the Empress. No, not the Empress, but the wedding of His Majesty. My great Zhou is willing to respect the Daqian dynasty as the superior country and call it the emperor of the superior country. I am willing to take out all the savings in the treasury in exchange for your saving my life." That he immediately began to kowtow and ask for punishment. The guards beside him, not knowing why, also knelt and kowtowed. A scream came from the hall. It was the concubine who woke up and discovered this scene. The entire palace of the great Zhou dynasty was in chaos. After leaving a note, Chu Ning left. For the first dynasty, calling the Daqian dynasty the superior country overnight was too much. My wife will definitely be suspicious. Once suspicion and investigation begin, there must be too many troubles. Now my wife who is pregnant can't stand this kind of tossing. Moreover, the great Zhou dynasty can serve as a deterrent to deter other people with bad intentions. Just push it secretly, and don't even need to pay tribute openly. As for resources, just treat them as gifts, just treat them as a good start. The wedding is coming soon. Can't I let my wife get married happily? These people, really, Daqian dynasty. Inside the palace, the disappearance of a Wuji monk did not cause any waves, and did not even alarm any palace maids. He was wiped out so casually, as if he had never been there, leaving only the head and the fear on the head, as if to confirm what kind of horrible existence he saw before he died. But that was only the limit of his understanding and cognition. Far from the limit of the initiator. After returning to the palace, Chu Ning suddenly heard a hurried knock on the door. "Sir, sir." The one who spoke was Xiao Bing, and her voice was a little tearful. "Your Majesty had a nightmare in the middle of the night and couldn't sleep." "Don't sleep, go and see." Chu Ning was stunned. The one who had the nightmare should be the emperor of the Great Zhou. How did she become his wife? Damn! This old thing died at such a bad time. My Qinglian is still pregnant. I won't attend court tomorrow. I can finally rest for a longer time. Damn, it's so unlucky. Here it comes. Chapter 44. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The heavy rain had not stopped yet, and the two of them entered the Tianxiang palace in the heavy rain. Xiaobing still had some cultivation, just enough to resist the rain falling on the two of them. Why is it raining so hard? Neither of them was stained with any rain, Xiaobing complained, and hurried to knock on the door. Your Majesty, Mr. Chu is here. She lived next to Qinglian, and she could detect anything at the first time. When the first thunder roared, she heard Qinglian's exclamation, calling Chu Ning, and she went to find him at the first time. There was a movement inside the door, and Chu Ning turned around and went in without hesitation. Under the dim light, Qinglian leaned on the bed, her face pale, and when she saw Chu Ning coming, her eyes immediately looked over, as if she was extremely anxious. You are not dead. Chu Ning frowned slightly, walked to Qinglian's side and sat down beside the bed, holding Qinglian's almost cold hand. How can I die? Qinglian shook her head vigorously. Her thoughts were complicated for a moment, and she smiled bitterly. I just had a dream. I dreamed that someone took off your head, and then that person found me with your head. Chu Ning waved her hand, motioning Xiaobing to leave, and then looked at Qinglian with a slight smile. I feel that you have been too idle recently. Why do you think about these things when you have nothing to do? Otherwise, I will give you a few copies of the memorials tomorrow to get back to the feeling before pregnancy. You don't have to think about it every day. Qinglian looked at Chu Ning with complicated eyes and explained, just now my eyebrows were beating, I always felt uneasy, and I couldn't rest well when I rested. Later I dreamed. Are you really not dead? You are so eager for me to die quickly, right? Can you take care of the baby alone? Yes, that's right, of course. She was not looking forward to Chu Ning's death, but just relieved. This is the familiar Chu Ning. Qinglian breathed a sigh of relief. I don't know why I suddenly dreamed of this, but I finally felt relieved after seeing you. Chu Ning smiled and held the woman's hand tighter. This didn't happen to Qinglian, but the emperor of the great Zhou dynasty should have a sleepless night. It's okay, don't worry, I'm here. It's still early, you can continue to rest. Qinglian's face gradually calmed down, and her mood gradually calmed down. It was just a dream, and I always felt that there was something omen. Now you and I are about to get married. I'm worried that people from other dynasties will come to make trouble. According to the rules, Daqian has to send invitations to the other 4 dynasties. Other dynasties are okay, but the Luohan dynasty. I'm worried that even if they don't dare to make trouble openly, they will definitely do something behind the scenes. In the palace, I and Old Fong have the highest cultivation. During this period, her eyebrows began to beat again, looking at Chu Ning in front of her, whispering in a low voice. During this period, you live near me. If anything happens, I can take care of you. Chu Ning paused, and then the corner of his mouth rose. Are you worried about me and care about me so much? Qinglian's face flushed slightly, and she pursed her lips. I have already said that I will not kill you, and naturally I will not let others kill you. Old Fong has to patrol the entire palace alone, and he will not set foot in the harem. I have a high level of cultivation and can protect you. It has nothing to do with what you think. I advise you not to think too much. It is impossible that you live in my bedroom. There is a room next door. After she finished speaking, she was still afraid that Chu Ning would misunderstand, and explained, You are just the father of my child. If something happens to you, what is the difference between that and I killing you with a sword as soon as possible? Usually, Qinglian's words are indeed threatening, but now on the bed, holding Chu Ning's hand tightly, the meaning of those words is even more arrogant and concealing the idea of emotional concealment. At least you can do something. It's not convenient for me to be alone. She didn't know why she cared so much about the man in front of her at this moment. Since that dream, she seemed to be particularly afraid of losing this person. The relationship between the two of them was just holding hands now. The worst thing was a secret kiss. Apart from that, there was really no big action. Even though Qinglian felt that Chu Ning was particularly annoying on weekdays, it was only on the surface. Even as a monarch and a great monk, she could not ignore Chu Ning's concern for her. It's better for the bastard to be alive, don't die inexplicably. Chu Ning narrowed his eyes. Of course he would not refuse this proposal, that's a good opportunity. But his eyes moved slightly down from the woman's face. Suddenly she sat up in shock and leaned against the head of the bed. Now the only thing to cover up was the dark yellow dragon pattern bellyband, tightly wrapped around the white patch. Qinglian hesitated. Why don't you say anything? Could it be? She seemed to have noticed something and looked in the direction of Chu Ning's gaze. Who told you to look around? That's right. That's the smell. Chu Ning smiled. This is the mother of his own child. She suddenly became so gentle that he almost didn't recognize her. Qinglian covered her chest with shame and anger, staring at Chu Ning with a fierce look on her face. You're still looking. Why can't your wife look? You. She gritted her teeth and said, you're just the father of the child now. Do you really think that all the good things in the world can happen to you? Get out. Chu Ning sighed and let go of her hand and stood up. Okay, then I won't look and go to rest. You should also get up early. However, before she turned around, she was grabbed by Qinglian, whose face flushed. There was shyness and anger in her eyes, but she still spoke with a trembling voice. You are usually very shameless, why are you now? She couldn't say the rest of the sentence at all. She didn't know why she suddenly wanted to keep Chu Ning. After all, the man in front of her couldn't be honest at all. He would definitely look and say something. But now she was pregnant with Chu Ning's child, and she thought he was actually quite good. Besides, they would be a legitimate couple in a short time. That dream brought her too much disappointment. If Chu Ning really died, she didn't know what to do next. Now that she saw such a real Chu Ning, she felt a little relieved. She let go of her hand, wrapped the quilt around herself, lowered her head tightly, and looked charming. Can you accompany me? Just accompany me to chat. If you are really sleepy, you can leave. Happy National Day. Chapter 45. You are listening at novelfull.audio. She didn't know why she said such a thing, but for some reason, she was flustered at the moment and didn't want Chu Ning to leave so quickly. At least, accompany her. After all, she was pregnant with Chu Ning's child. If she didn't sleep well, wouldn't the child suffer as well? As the father of the child, can't you be a little shameless? As for the bellyband, she didn't notice it, so she just pretended that she didn't see it. Anyway, she was wrapped in a quilt and Chu Ning couldn't see it. Moreover, there was an inexplicable emotion in her heart, probably because she was infected by Chu Ning. Maybe, between husband and wife, it seems that there is no need to be so taboo, but it is definitely impossible for you to get started. It was all influenced by Chu Ning. Under the dim light, Chu Ning smiled and sat back on the bed, looking at Qinglian who was wrapped like a caterpillar, and he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Are you so afraid of me? Didn't we agree that a great cultivator with the cultivation level of breaking the void should not have the spirit of a great cultivator at all? Qinglian glared at Chu Ning and said dissatisfiedly, if you had a higher cultivation level, I would have killed you long ago. I just killed you with a casual sword. I'm afraid that if I take action, it will be like cutting melons and vegetables, do you understand? At least extend your hand for me to hold. You wish, do you hold it if I ask you to? Do you think you can hold it whenever you want? That she curled her lips and turned her head to look at the hanging beam above her head. Anyway, it's good that you are not dead. At least there is someone to cook for me. Although you have no other strengths, you cook good meals. Chu Ning smiled and came up to him, half of his body almost sitting on the bed. Qinglian frowned and arched towards the outside, trying to push Chu Ning out. There was no word, but all the words were already in action. What do you want to do, you bastard? Qinglian looked quite funny, which made Chu Ning particularly moved. His wife actually had such a lovely side. Interesting, it was better to arrive at the right time than to arrive early. Then let's talk business. What business is there to talk about? Haven't you dealt with all the memorials today? Qinglian looked at him in confusion. Chu Ning smiled. Didn't you just ask me to move in? Is that true? Qinglian snorted. I'm not kidding. I just want to protect your safety. After all, your cultivation is so low, and you don't practice seriously. What can I do? Otherwise, you can live with Mr. Fong, but he probably doesn't think much of you. Chu Ning thought of Fong Horen, who didn't have a good face for him. His expression was either contemptuous or he wanted to kill him. The temperament revealed by every pore on his body seemed to be telling Chu Ning, why did you take such a big cabbage from our family? Forget it, it's good to follow you. Qinglian pulled the corner of his mouth and corrected, I just live in the next room, not with me, don't get confused. Chu Ning chuckled. Then if I can't sleep at night and run to your bed. A long sword suddenly hung above Chu Ning's head. Qinglian sneered and looked at Chu Ning. You can try. The sword of Damocles belongs to. Chu Ning sighed helplessly. You mean I have to move back after the wedding, right? That's not the case. After all, we are husband and wife. Don't get it wrong, you are just the father of the child, not my husband. I don't recognize you as a weak mortal, that the whole body is soft, but the mouth is hard. When eating, he eats very fast, and at that time he will bite the bullet and praise him. However, Chu Ning, who had already figured out Qinglian's character, just smiled and looked at the woman. Okay, your majesty hasn't approved yet, so how can your majesty approve it? At least give some conditions or something. Qinglian glanced at Chu Ning and pondered for a moment. You just need to know that it's impossible. When the child is born, you just need to take care of the baby in the harem, and leave the affairs of the world to me. As soon as the voice fell, Chu Ning's hand suddenly stretched out and pinched Qinglian's face. The latter was stunned and glared at him. Chu Ning pinched again. It feels good, can I kiss it? Qinglian's eyes turned from anger to coldness. What do you think? Not refusing means agreeing. Qinglian was about to open his mouth to scold Chu Ning for his wishful thinking, but that face suddenly came close. Qinglian was shocked and hurried to avoid it, but it was too late. What happened? Why did she forget to use her cultivation? With a popping sound, the woman's face suddenly flushed, and she manipulated the long sword to hold it on Chu Ning's neck. Chu Ning! What are you doing? I asked you to accompany me, not to kiss me, that even if it wasn't the lips but just the face, how could she ignore the situation that was so ambiguous? Hateful dog man! If you dare to move again, I will definitely kill you. Chu Ning was not afraid at all, but looked puzzled. You didn't refuse, and not refusing means you agree. Next time you refuse directly, I will definitely not do this. Qinglian pursed her lips and gritted her teeth. You are so shameless. Why would I have anything to do with such a shameless man like you? Women don't love men who are not bad. You are still so confident and justified. She is my wife, of course I am justified. I said, no. It's just in name. But I took it seriously. Qinglian. It's really annoying. In short, she was so flustered by such an unexpected sneak attack that she didn't have time to use her cultivation, and she didn't dare to use it. She was afraid that she would really beat Chu Ning to death by accident. At least give me a hand to hold, otherwise I will stay up all night with you, and it's not fair to have no reward at all. Qinglian was silent for a moment, and stretched out a palm from the quilt. You are not allowed to do anything wrong, otherwise you. I know, you will kill me, for sure. Take the little hand back again, intertwine the 10 fingers and hold them tightly in the hand, and look at the woman in front of him again. The other party's face has flushed. Is my brain broken? Why do I have to agree to him? I can just slap Chu Ning to stop him from being so presumptuous. She couldn't help but mutter, and her face gradually calmed down. Looking back on everything that happened during this period, she felt that her life had really changed a lot. Whether it was the child in her belly or Chu Ning beside her, they brought her too many changes, making her even unable to cope with it for a while, and she didn't know what to do, but as long as she knew that the man next to her was not that bad, he was okay, and he really cared about her, that was enough. Anyway, they would really be husband and wife in the future. Even if Chu Ning really died one day, they would be buried in the imperial mausoleum and sleep together after death. It shouldn't be too much to hold his hand. TSK, this dog man is so boring, staring at her again. Don't look at me, I'm going to sleep, you are not allowed to leave before I sleep. Are you so scared? Qinglian was silent and didn't answer. That dream was so real that she didn't even feel like she was dreaming. It was as real as it was. Only when Chu Ning was by her side did she feel a little safe. Now, everything in the dynasty was fine, and it was good enough as long as the people around her were fine and didn't get into trouble.